Hello everyone, today is 30th of November. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. First of all guys, today's video will not be a face video as I came outside in a wedding and therefore will not be able to shoot that video. So guys, for 2 days such kind of video will be there and then we will again be resuming to the face video format. Now guys, first of all let's have a look on today's GS folder. So today we will be taking a quote from the Stephen Lovegrove, the British civil servant. He had defined integrity in a very beautiful manner. He says, integrity is a life where your beliefs and intentions are aligned with your words and actions. Now, guys, in our GS paper number 4, integrity is supposed to be the foundational value for the civil servants. And therefore, on such a line, if any keyword based question comes, please do utilize this particular quote. So, guys, that's all for today's GS folder. And now let's have a look on today's newspaper analysis. Now, guys, this first article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper and it pertains to the China's weaponization of water, which China has often resorted to. Now guys, before going into this particular concept, let's see that what has happened from the very scratch. Now guys, first of all, this particular article is highly relevant for our GS paper number 2, that is the neighborhood policies, as well as in GS paper number 3 also for the security of India. We can also have some of the dimensions here. Now guys, see, just China had recently announced their new 5-year plan which will be beginning from 2021 and will be going up to 2025. Into this new 5-year plan, China decided that they will be focusing onto the hydropower exploitation, and into the hydropower exploitation towards the Tibet region, the Yarlung Zangpo or the Brahmaputra is a very important river. Now guys, it has been reported that China, as a part of their new 5-year plan, had now finally given an approval to build a dam onto the lower reaches of the Brahmaputra river. And now see, this is the first time that this particular kind of thing is happening. Earlier also, China had built the structural dams onto the Brahmaputra river, but they were earlier located onto the middle reaches, but now towards the lower reaches it will be doing it. See guys, if we look little bit of a history of China's dam building onto the Brahmaputra river, in 2015 China operationalized the Zangmu dam, which you can see here. It is located here, that is this 3 number, and this particular dam was very much near to the Bhutan India border. Now guys, not only the Zangmu was operationalized, but 3 more dam has been taken up by the China, that is the Dagu Dam, Jeksu Dam and the Jiacha Dam. Now Jiacha Dam is onto the downstream of the Zangmu, and the Dagu and the Jiaxu, they are the upstream of the Zangmu Dam, which has already been operationalized. Now guys, the present dam which I am talking, that China has decided, it will be built towards the Great Bend. Now the Great Bend is that particular region where the Brahmaputra, it makes a kind of a U-turn and it enters into India. Now guys, China had said that this dam they are just building because China had taken very ambitious targets into the past few days. For example, China just announced that they will be achieving the carbon neutrality by 2060 and will be achieving their carbon peak by 2030. And for this particular thing, they want to focus on to the clean energy, and therefore the hydropower energy comes very handy here. So therefore China has justified their dam building. Now guys, China's dam had often aroused the concerns into the India. Number one guys, there is an issue that often China had utilized the weaponization of water as a kind of a strategic tool. Now guys, just let's take the example. See what had happened this year, that is the 2020, the countries such as the Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam and Thailand, they are facing a kind of a drought like situation, and the situation is because the Mekong river, which is providing the water to these countries, it has virtually dried up. And this drying up of Mekong is also related to the China, because China had developed the huge infrastructure onto the Mekong. And guys, now China is just manipulating the water supply in order to starve these countries. And similar kind of thing China can also do into India, because guys, Brahmaputra's 35% of basin is lying into India, and for the northeast region as well as for the country of the Bangladesh, Brahmaputra is an important lifeline. And guys, what can happen into the times to come, either China can starve India and Bangladesh of water, or it can also overflush the Brahmaputra river, which can induce disastrous floods into the entire region. So guys, it is not only an infrastructural aspect, but there is also a strategic dimension to this particular move. And now guys, we have already seen that onto the LAC front, the relations between the India and China is not good. Moreover, India has also invited the Australia to join the Malabar exercise, which has also been translated as the militarization of Quad. So, into this particular direction, China is not happy. Moreover, guys, we have seen just 2 days back that the Digital Strike 3.0 has also been conducted by India against the China. So, out of that particular reciprocation, China might not be having the good intentions with this particular project. So, guys, all these might be the possible thinking lines into this direction. Please do utilize into your answers. So that's all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article has been taken from the Mint newspaper, and it is talking about the recent response that India is giving to control the air pollution. Now guys, first of all, whenever we talk about the air pollution happens to be a buzzword only around the winter, which first of all shows that how India's response to the air pollution is a knee jerk or an erratic kind of response. And guys, not only government, rather the citizens concern with respect to the air pollution is also very much erratic. Now guys, this is the data from the Google search for the air pollution topic, and here you see that from 2015 to 2020, only around the month of the November, people show interest in searching about the air pollution, its causes, the problem solutions, all these particular kind of thing. Now guys, incidentally, November is the only month where the Delhi chokes because of the stubble burning pollution which reaches here. And guys, it shows that even the people are not that much concerned. Moreover guys, even if we see the government's response often has only come when the problem comes onto the head, that is the months of the winters. See, the Environmental Pollution Prevention and Control Authority, that is the EPCA, which was established, it was also established in 1998 January. Then guys, the PM 2.5 was also added to the list of the pollutants into the National Ambient Air Quality Standard, and that thing also happened in November. Even the Graded Response Action Plan was launched into the December in 2016. Then guys, even the National Clean Air Program was launched around the month of April, and then in January there were much of the headways was carried. And now guys, what has happened, the EPCA, which was constituted in 1998, it has now been dismantled, and into this particular place a new organization has come, and this thing is also happening around the month of the October. So even the people as well as government are not very much serious to clean the India's air quality. Now guys, when we see the India's response, often the response has been very much erratic also. For example, into the months of the November and December, there are the solutions which are floated, that is the smoke towers. And even the government of Delhi had sanctioned the money for the smoke towers. But guys, it has been called as ineffective into the open spaces, and it has been said that if any considerable respite is to be made in Delhi from the smoke towers, 5 million such towers will be needed, which is completely unfeasible. So this is an ineffective solution. However guys, government came out with the Commission for the Air Quality Management for the Delhi NCR, which was announced recently via an ordinance. Now guys, already we have seen this particular commission which has been established. Now guys, it will be replacing the Environmental Pollution Prevention and Control Authority, which was established in 1998, and will be focusing on more effective control of the pollution in Delhi. Now guys, this particular organization, it will be having the representation from the central government, state government, scientific communities, civil societies, and will also be given the overriding power on the Central Pollution Control Board, State Pollution Control Board, as well as other statutory body, so that effectively it can control the pollution. But guys, such a kind of an approach will also not be bringing much of the benefit, because there are systemic challenges here, that is, we don't have an integrated policy or how to control the air pollution. This particular example we will be seeing, just wait for 1 minute. Guys, though this is a kind of a body, but this is a policy. The policy policy is the National Clean Air Program, which was started in 2019, and its aim is to clear the air in 102 cities where there are serious level of pollutions. Now guys, 20 to 30% of the pollution is to be reduced by 2024, and the baseline is 2017. Now guys, it has been said that this particular policy have some of the serious flaws, and the criticism has been given by the Council on Energy, Environment and Water, CEEW. Number one, it has been said that though the program has been launched, but there is no legal framework to review this particular program as well as to update this particular program into the new developments that are coming. Then guys, there is no clear delineation under the program that which authority, which body will be controlling which particular type of component. Secondly guys, it has been said that even under the National Clean Air Program, many places more than one authority has been given the responsibility for the same task, and it leads to the overlapping and the conflict of interest, and therefore ineffectiveness comes. Then guys, it has been said that the National Clean Air Program, it has identified 102 cities. It is basically working on to the principle of the city approach, but pollution is not a city's concern. Rather, pollution is made up of large number of factors, the nearby cities, the industrializations into the nearby towns and all such kind of thing. So therefore an airshed approach is needed into this particular program, and only after that even the new Commission for Air Quality Management will be also be able to do some appreciable kind of work. Moreover guys, it has been said that actually there are the cities such as the Mexico City and the Beijing, which had also shown that from the severe pollution levels it is possible to go into the clean air category. Guys, it has been said that Mexico seen a problem of pollution around 1992 and 1993, and this particular year the Mexico's pollution was just the 20% of what Delhi is seeing. Moreover, if we see the Beijing, then guys, the Clean Air Action Plan they started in 2013, and 35% of the clear reduction into the pollution level has been made. So if it is possible into the cities such as Mexico and Beijing, it is also possible into the case of Delhi, but such kind of erratic and disconnected initiatives are not needed. Rather, an integrated approach towards the pollution control is needed. So guys, this is all about this particular article. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this article is from Indian Express. This article is from the Business Standard. And here we will be seeing the recent development which has been carried under the Ministry of Road, Transport and Highways. Now guys, the story starts from 2019. What happened in 2019, the Motor Vehicle Amendment Act was passed, and under this particular act it was said that the cab aggregators or the cab drivers, they are also needed to be regulated and their rules were to be notified. So now finally the MORTH had issued the Motor Vehicle Aggregator Guidelines, which will be applicable onto the cab aggregators such as Ola and Uber, as well as onto the cab drivers. Now guys, under these new rules, some of the conditionalities have been imposed, and only if these conditionalities will be abided, the state government will be giving the licenses to the aggregators. Now what are these conditionalities? Number one, health insurance up to 5 lakh rupees is to be provided to the drivers by the aggregators. Secondly, even the term insurance up to 10 lakh rupees is to be provided to the cab drivers. After that guys, a refresher training program has to be provided to the drivers from time to time, so that they don't forget what they have been taught as how to serve the customers and all such technical aspects as well as the procedural things. Then guys, even the induction training is to be provided when the new driver is joining this particular service, and into this induction program the motor vehicle rules, motor vehicle amendment provisions, as well as how to utilize this app, all such kind of things needed to be trained. Then guys, it has been said that the mobile apps they needed to be provided into the English language, Hindi language, as well as into the one of the official language where the state language is not the English or the Hindi. Moreover, it has also been provided that the data localization is also to be carried. It means that the data which is being generated onto these particular apps, that data is to be stored onto the data servers which are located in India only. Then guys, now the carpooling has also been allowed. Guys, earlier the carpooling was offered by the aggregators, but there was some controversy into this particular aspect. Now the carpooling has been allowed if all the passengers, their KYC details are updated. After that, city's taxi fare is also capped onto the basis of the taxi fares which has been provided under the wholesale price index. Then guys, it has been said that the surge pricing also needs to be controlled, and maximum 1.5 times of the base fare surge pricing can be there. Then guys, it has been said that the driver is compulsorily to be given to the 80% of the fare that has been earned from a ride, and then after the maximum of 12 hours of the duty is to be stopped. Now these particular provisions are good on various of the fronts, that they have now considered the concerns of the drivers, for example providing them the insurance, mandatory tax 12 hour of the duty time, and all these kind of things. However guys, there are some criticisms also which are coming onto this particular guidelines. For example, number one criticism is onto this surge pricing. Guys, it has been said that when the surge pricing is there, the customer is shown in a transparent manner that how much he is actually going to pay. And actually surge pricing is a beneficial thing, because guys, via the surge, drivers are going to the unserved kind of locations for an extra fees. Moreover, into the festival kind of conditions, surge pricing is levied. So but guys, when the driver is compromising on his festival time and he's giving the services for that particular thing, he is expected to get this surge pricing. So this was nothing which was needed to be capped. Moreover, there are some other provisions also. For example, it has been said that if a ride is cancelled, then 10% of the fare is to be provided. If the driver cancels, then that 10% of the reimbursement has to be given to the one who was traveling. Or if the passenger cancels, then the money is to be given to the driver. Now it will be leading to the standoff between the drivers as well as the customers, that who is at fault, and will be elevating the disputes. So guys, it has actually been said that such a kind of regularizations were not needed, because actually the basically employment has been provided by the applications such as the Ola and Uber into the past few days, and actually this sector was going very well. So basically this is a kind of a criticism as well as the information that what has changed. So guys, this is all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is talking about the Paris Agreement. Now guys, as the new president Joe Biden has came onto the presidency, there are the expectation that he should come back into the Paris Agreement and should take up some of the INDC targets. Now guys, it is being said that actually Paris is not a solution to all the problems as it is now being expected. So into the similar line only, a kind of a roadmap has been provided that how the Paris came and why Paris is not the solution. Now guys, taking up this particular thing. Now first of all, the Paris Agreement was signed in 2015 at the United Nations Climate Change Conference, or the COP21. Now guys, what happened here, the countries they came together and they decided that we need to make an effort that how the global temperature rise cannot exceed to 2 degrees Celsius, and if possible then 1.5 degrees Celsius. Now guys, by 2100 such maximum reduction is to be carried. Now guys, it was said that the countries came together and they decided that they will be taking up the voluntary kind of targets, that how much reduction into the pollution they will be making. Guys, when we are talking about these voluntary targets, they have been called as the INDC, that is the intended nationally determined contributions. Now these INDC targets, how they will be carried, how their implementation will be done, all that kind of thing was actually finalized into the INDC rule book, which was operationalized into the Katowice, Poland, that is the COP24 conference. So guys, this was all the background. Now it has been said that the Paris climate, though it might sound good, but actually when the Paris climate came into the existence at that point of time, it was severely criticized on two three particular fronts. Number one, it was said that here non-binding targets are there. The developed countries, they have not been given a specific obligation that this much effort they has to take at any cost. Moreover guys, the polluter pay principle was not affirmed here. Now under the polluter pay principle, it is kind of believed that the developed countries are the ones who had caused much of the pollution, and therefore they should bear the cost, and therefore they need to give the financial assistance to the developing countries and all such kind of thing. Then the common but differentiated responsibility principle has also not been followed into the Paris. Common but differentiated responsibility means that pollution is a common problem, but the responsibilities are differentiated, where the developed countries have to give much of the contribution. So guys, it has been said that at this point of time when the Paris came, actually the countries such as India, they were also also against the Paris, but today the Paris is being called as the panacea. It is simply because of the fact that the USA has pulled even out of the Paris. So guys, we are assuming it, but it is not even the solution. Now further it has been provided that the actual period of hope that something could be done onto the pollution front, this period was from 1972 to 1992. Now guys, in 1972 the Stockholm conference happened, and in 1992 the Rio summit happened. Guys, even into the Stockholm summit of 1972, Indira Gandhi said that the poverty is the worst polluter. It means that the developing countries or the poor developed underdeveloped countries, they are not able to afford the clean technologies, so they should be provided some kind of assistance. Guys, after the into the Rio 1992 conference, the UNFCCC was adopted, that is the United Nations Framework Convention onto the climate change, and UNFCCC for the first time accepted that the balance is to be provided into the rights of development. See, there are the developed countries on one hand, and then there are the developing countries on to one hand. Now the developed countries, their emissions will be called as the luxury emissions, whereas the developing countries emissions will be called as the survival emissions. So therefore the survival emissions are important, luxury emissions are to be curbed, and therefore the developed countries were to take up some kind of commitments here. Now guys, this particular commitments were to be actually finalized in 1997 Kyoto conference, but actually even before that, in 1995 into the Berlin conference only, the developed countries, they started to backtrack. And actually when the Kyoto came in 1997 and was to be actually be implemented by 2005, the countries started to show their dislike towards the Kyoto. Into this particular direction, guys, USA never ratified the Kyoto. Even the Canada said that they will be withdrawing from the Kyoto, and in 2012 finally the Canada withdrawn also. Now guys, the Kyoto was something which was a kind of a sustainable kind of solution. However, as the Kyoto was failed and nothing happened, then guys, as a stopgap arrangement, the Paris Agreement was signed in 2015. And because all these three principles, that is the it was non-binding, polluter pay principle was not there, CBDR was not there, at that point of time it was being criticized. And now even the scientist community has basically affirmed this particular thing, that even if all the targets which the countries are taking under the Paris, that is the INDC, if they are fulfilled, even then the 1.5 degree Celsius reduction into the temperature, it will not be possible. And guys, the coral reefs will be facing a destruction, island nations will be submerged, and even the economies of the small nations will be impacted very severely. So guys, it has been said that now a kind of a everlasting solution, a sustainable solution into the form of Kyoto is to be formed. Not only the Paris is the panacea as it is being just now expected. And guys, all the three principles, that is the polluter pay principle, the common but differentiated responsibility, as well as the abiding responsibilities of the developed nation is to be taken in account. So guys, this is all about this particular article. I hope you have understood it. So that's it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article is a very important article for this particular year and for next year, because guys, we have seen that now the pandemic of COVID-19 is basically leading so much of people into the stress, and therefore it has been said that the tendencies such as the suicidal thoughts, they are increasing into the people. And this year we have also seen the unfortunate incident of the suicide of the Sushant Singh Rajput. Now guys, into this particular direction, this article is talking that how algorithmic programs can predict the suicide, and therefore they can save the people from this particular tendency. Now guys, what has happened, the USA, they have made up kind of an algorithmic program, the artificial intelligence program, whose name is ReachVet, and this particular program can predict the suicide vulnerability into the military veterans. Now guys, the Veterans Affairs in USA is witnessing an increase into the suicide among the veterans, and the suicide rates has increased by 30% into the past few years. Now guys, this ReachVet program, that is the AI program, it accounts 61 factors for all the people. Now guys, it basically counts the past health, the substance abuse history, the employment status, marital status, and all such kind of factors, and onto that particular basis it plots the people that who are more vulnerable to suicide, who are less vulnerable to suicide, who are moderate moderately vulnerable to suicide. And guys, onto that particular basis, into the nearby health clinics, a kind of a message flashes that into your locality this XYZ person might be slipping into a suicidal kind of tendency. And guys, as this name flashes onto the dashboard of the local clinics, the doctor, he prepares a suicide safety plan for that particular individual. He calls him for the counseling. He just makes sure that he has adequate emotional support system, the lethal weapons are not into his vicinity, all these particular kind of things. Now guys, it has been seen that on around the world, into the present ultra competitive environment, the suicide is a big problem. And if such kind of early warnings can be given, then guys, much more effective effort can be given. Now into India also, suicides are a kind of a thing which takes so much of the lives, though suicide has actually been decriminalized by passing of the Mental Health Act of 2017. But still guys, suicide is a much problematic thing, and learning from the Reach Wit AI program, India can also instill such kind of thing. And guys, as we are orienting our health also into the digital aspect, for example, we are bringing the initiatives such as the National Digital Health ID, etc., onto the similar direction. Guys, even the tracking of the people onto the basis of their suicidal tendency, it could also be very much important in safeguarding the demographic dividend for India. So guys, that's all about this particular article. Very good suggestion. Just as a reference point, you can also provide in your GS paper number 2. So that's it. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article, it is talking about the France's national security law, which has recently been passed by their lower house. Now guys, the France's national security law is being criticized because it has been said that it is an attack onto the civil liberties and a kind of an authoritarianism is being imposed. Now guys, let's see first of all what is this France's new national security law. Now guys, here it has been said that the police people, they are being given power that they can carry the air surveillance, they can carry the mass surveillance by the way of attaching the video cameras onto their vest. Then guys, it has also been said that those police can carry such massive surveillance, but the people, they cannot make any video of the police people, they cannot take any photo of the police personals as well as of the paramilitary forces personnel. And if any such kind of thing is seen, then there could be the penalties for the jail term as well as for the economic fine. Now it has been said that such a kind of a thing indicates a kind of a unilateralism that France is adopting. Now here, on to one hand, the powers, such massive powers are being given to the police, but on to the second hand, the citizens, they are not being given any tool to check that the police are not carrying any atrocities. Now guys, into the past few days, many of the police excesses were actually recorded onto the camera. For example, recently 2 incidents happened into the France, and guys, there was one incident which happened into the US also, and how that particular thing came to the light, that police had used the force only by the video recording. So if this particular thing will not be allowed, it will not be a very good precedence. Now guys, as the excesses of the police abuse, they are very much rampant into the US, India, even into the France. Such excesses have been very much rampant, and guys, into this particular direction, such a law is not being seen into the good light. Now guys, in India also we have seen instances. For example, there were the cases of the encounters. Even this year also there have been encounters which have been called as staged or fake. So into this particular direction, it has actually been said that the people should be given a kind of a tool where they can hold the police accountable. And into this particular light, taking the right to make the videos or to take the images is not good. Guys, however, the France has justified this action. They had said that by this particular way, many a times the innocent police officers, their families, they are being harassed online onto the social media. So such a protection is also needed. So guys, these are both the viewpoints into this particular direction. So guys, that's all about the today's newspaper analysis. I hope that you have understood and you have liked this particular initiative. Thank you so much.